Ultimate Viloch is out again, and you know what that means, Brawlers. That's right, it's BakuBrad96, bringing you all and my Baku crew the next installment of the Viloch Celebration series, and that being Day 4. So this deck profile is pretty toxic. It is using a debuff strategy once again, much like my dreaded Motto Ventus deck profile. So, without further ado, let's jump right into it because I don't want to spoil any of the surprises. I will say though, rather than go over each of the Viloch pieces, slight spoiler there, whoopsie, I will just leave it out like I did in the last deck profile because if you have all been keeping up with the series, everyone has a good understanding of Viloch and its Geogan. So the partners or the other Bakugan on the team, the Darkus slot, being Aratoa, has a green fist and a orange shield core, B power of 400 and 3 damage, and if it lands on a green fist, it gets plus 600 B power. Because we're only running one green fist, I doubt that's going to come up, but hey, the opponent might have more green fist cores, so you might actually get the bonus, but if not, it's okay, because once again, this is a very toxic deck, and I don't think we have any problems worrying about B power. We will go ahead and take a look at the figure. I do really like this design. It reminds me so much of the old school Robotallion from the Legacy series. Just the way that it looks and the way it pops up. Very nice design. And I gotta say, I love it as the diamond in the Arliss as well. Very, very beautiful. But speaking of diamonds, what a gem of a Bakugan. I do have my Diamond Harperion. It is the only version of Harperion that I currently have. So it is a double flaming fist core Bakugan with a B power of 300. It has 6 damage, which I love to see. That is a high damage, and with double flaming fist too. And it does have the Victor, so if it wins a brawl, you get to scan. We're not scanning a whole lot in this deck, but again, because it is the Ultimate Viloch package, seeing a Geogan on top might be nice. And what a brilliant diamond Harperion makes. All that translucent plastic is certainly worth it. Now, the core lineup is not as convoluted and awful as the last profile. I know it had a lot of traps on it, and that's probably not what people want to see. So keeping it real, everyone loves that blue shield that gives plus 650 B power. All that power, right? And then keeping that going, we do have the plus 500 B power and minus 1 damage. That way we don't have to sacrifice as much damage, like the plus 600 minus 3. We're only giving away 1, and 500 isn't bad at all for that. Next up, in the Flame Fist, or the Flame Shield, not Flame Shield, I am so sorry, what am I saying? I'm just a gobbledygooked brain fart mess tonight. But in the Flaming Fist slots, I do run plus 6 damage cores, because again, we have a lot of debuffs, so we're not really worried about what the opponent does, because we're always going to get over that, because we are taking everything away. We just want to max out on that damage. And again, Viloch's cores, they're giving B power too, so that's another option. Sorry. Now for Aratoa's cores, I do run the plus 400 B power to Darkus and Ventus Bakugan, simply because, they do have low B power and we do want coverage, so this is kind of the backup plan. The same for the green fist slot being the plus 100 B power, and then Darkus and Ventus Bakugan get plus 3 damage. Kind of just coverage in case the main idea of the deck doesn't work, but if the main idea of the deck doesn't work, you're kind of going to lose anyway. Now, on to the deck profile. Again, this is a completely debuff strategy, and for those of you who don't know what debuff means, it means everything in this deck profile subtracts from the opponent. So, getting into that, 2 Body Crusher, 1 energy for minus 4 damage, and you get to scan. 2 Darkus Apex, 1 energy for minus 2 damage, and you get to draw a card. Which again, drawing kind of helps. You might draw into a Geogan, and again, with the Body Crusher's scan, you could potentially reveal a Geogan on top, and you know what you're going to get next turn. there are plays that might come up. I'm just saying. Next up is Darkus Glare for Fusion Hate. 1 energy for -2 damage, and if you play it on a Fusion Bakugan, it's -8 instead. Eviscerator Strike, 1 energy for -300 B power, and if you play it on a Fusion Bakugan, it's -600 instead. So again, some more Fusion Hate, and then 1 for -300 isn't bad at all, because we are using G-Force Drop as well. 1 energy for -300 B power, and you get to scan. Just trying to find those Geogan as well as lowering the opponent. Next, Venom Blast, 1 energy for -4 damage. Darkus Petrify, I have 2 of these, just like I had 2 of the Venom Blast. I guess I should have said, my bad. 2 energy for -5 damage. Again, 2 Eldritch Darkus Doom, which is 2 energy for -700 B power. Very strong. I considered running this at 3, but I like to keep things even, and running 2 of everything just kind of keeps the consistency at a good level, in my opinion. I do use Piercing Scream, 2 energy for -400 B power. Two Solar Wings as a way to run 4 copies of Darkus Petrify. It does the same thing, 2 energy for -5 damage, with the added effect of if you energize this from your hand, you may pay 2 energy to draw a card. Again, you probably won't do that unless your opponent lets you. Otherwise, again, it's just a way to make 4 of. Then Baku Fit, 3 energy for -6 damage and scan. You get to scrounge as well, so you look at the top card of your deck, and if it's Darkus, you may reveal it to energize this uncharged. So just a way to kind of give you more value off this card. You're not really worried about it, but if you happen to hit a dark card, hey, or a Darkus card, I mean, it doesn't hurt, right? After that, Vicious Defense, 3 energy for -200 B power and -6 damage again. So you're really taking away all the damage your opponent could possibly throw at you, and that's really good because you're just stalling out until you can get the Geogan plays you want for the win. And then finally, before we get into the flip cards of the deck, or the final part of the deck as I like to say, I do run 2 Glacial Glare, 5 energy for -1000 B power, and you do get to scan as well. So I guess there is a slight scan theme to the deck, but that is of course not what it is about at all. You're really just taking everything away from your opponent so you can get in with the Geogan, you can get in with your damage, and just win as quick as possible. So for the flips, 2 Darkus Snare because it's just so good, 0 energy to block a Bakugan holding a magic shield. Web Snare, arguably just as good, stopping one of the best cores in the game. 0 energy to block a Bakugan holding a Flame Fist. I really like cards that stop the Magic Shields and the Flame Fist cores because those are so prevalent, at least in my opinion. So then next is Rock Riser, 1 energy to block a Bakugan holding a Orange Shield or a Magic Shield. Sonic Shield, which for 1 energy blocks a Bakugan holding a green or flaming fist. As a way to get around heroes and Baku gear, we do have 2 Darkus Ventus Disarm. For 2 energy, you can destroy a hero or Baku gear that costs 4 energy or less. So that doesn't snipe all of what our opponent might be playing, but that does hit some important ones. And then finally, besides, of course, the 6 Geogan, is Darkus Treasures. So for 5 energy, when this is flipped, you can scrounge. You look at the top card of your deck. If it is a non-action card, this costs 3 less to play, or you can reveal it to make this cost 3 less to play, and it blocks any attack. So the only way this goes off really is if you reveal one of the Geogan. If not, it is a 5 to block any attack. There's no conditions at all, but it does cost quite a bit. That's why we're only running the 1. But that'll do it again for another day of the Viloch Celebration series. I hope you have all been enjoying the series thus far. I know I have. I certainly can't wait for Saturday, when I have a very special unboxing and a very special Viloch episode. You all know what I'm talking about, and that is, of course, the native faction build of Ultimate Viloch. Everything is in preparation for that awesome day, and I look forward to you all joining me for those videos. So before you leave, I invite you all to subscribe because only 6% of you watching are, and that stings. So please hit that subscribe button before you leave, ring that notification bell so you don't miss any of my upcoming content, and like the video so I know what everyone enjoys. Thank you, and remember, keep on Bakugan Brawling!